To change the tragic fate of my villainous husband before he brought trouble upon himself, I decided to approach him first. The first thing I said, a sentence strong enough to shock him completely, was, "I'm pregnant and the baby is yours." His eyes widened in surprise, filled with shock and disbelief. It was a moment I'll never forget, a moment when his whole world seemed to turn upside down. I stayed calm and continued to explain in a firm, clear voice, "Yes, you heard me right. It's true, not a mistake. It's from that time you keep thinking about, the one that's been on your mind." From that moment, his life took a new direction. He started giving me all his pocket money without hesitation, as if to show he was ready to be a responsible father. More than that, he began studying seriously, spending hours with his books, hoping to be a good example for our unborn child. He no longer had time or interest in causing trouble or fighting with the main character. His life suddenly became organized and meaningful. One night, while sleeping, he suddenly woke up with a confused look, as if something had just clicked in his mind. He muttered in surprise, "Wait, that's not right!" The obvious truth he had overlooked hit him. How can holding hands make someone pregnant? In my past life, my husband, Viet, was a true villain, always clashing with the main character, Nam. When I married him, their conflict was at its worst. The tragic result was that I died painfully after less than 2 years with him. My death not only ended my life, but also pushed him deeper into darkness, making him a true villain. In this life, given a second chance by fate, I refused my parents' plan to study abroad. Instead, I transferred to Viet's school with one goal: to stop him from causing trouble and to change our doomed fate. I had to protect him and rewrite our future. When I arrived, I saw Viet cornering Nam in a narrow alley, holding a brick with an angry, threatening look. The sight made me furious, a burning anger I couldn't hold back. He was already starting fights with Nam, laying the foundation for future tragedies. He reacted stubbornly, saying, "No way, he bullied my friend. I have to make it right." My face turned cold and I spoke sharply. "Have you thought about our child? What if your mistakes hurt the baby? Do you want to ruin our child's life?" His face filled with fear, and he stammered, I didn't." "Then go apologize," I said firmly, leaving no room for argument. I knew I couldn't push him too hard, so I softened my tone. "Your friends will understand. After all, it's for your child." Viet, though confused, was convinced by my words. He pulled Nam up from the ground and followed my instructions like a robot. "I'm sorry, brother. It was a misunderstanding. Take this as a small gesture," Viet said, handing something to Nam. Viet was wealthy and generous, often giving money to others without thinking. Because of this, people took advantage of him, but he never noticed. At that moment, the tension between Viet and Nam wasn't too deep. Thanks to Viet's apology and the money, Nam's anger faded and his expression softened. "No next time," Nam warned coldly, but the situation was less tense. One of Viet's followers, clearly unhappy, stepped forward. "Brother Viet, why apologize to him?" he asked angrily. Viet patted his shoulder and said calmly, "Let it go this time, for my sake." The follower grumbled but didn't argue further. I noticed this person was two-faced, pretending to be loyal, but secretly pushing Viet to fight Nam, leading him toward ruin. I made a mental note to deal with him later. When everyone left, Viet stood a few steps away, staring at me with a complicated look, his eyes fixed on my stomach with curiosity and a bit of fear. I didn't avoid his gaze. I confidently patted my slightly round belly, as if I were truly pregnant, and gave him a warning look. "Don't tell anyone about the pregnancy," I said seriously. He looked nervous and asked, "Why?" "It's a secret for now. I'm afraid someone might harm me," I replied, giving a reasonable excuse to avoid suspicion. He nodded, convinced. Viet was a typical villain. He never studied properly, had no real skills, and had a bad temper, a spoiled rich kid. In my past life, I disliked him, even though we grew up together. We argued every time we met, neither willing to back down. After I went abroad, we lost contact. Later, when my family faced financial trouble, Thamvit was the only one who stepped in to help, taking on the burden. Despite his poor education, he was strangely lucky. He took over his family's company and made it grow stronger, not weaker. After we married, our relationship didn't change much. We still argued constantly. But despite the fights, we had peaceful moments, times when we felt like a real family. Though his temper wasn't great, he wasn't cruel to me. I wasn't unreasonable either, and over time, I fell in love with him naturally and deeply. Sadly, fate didn't give us much time to enjoy that love. We both died too soon, and I never got to tell Tumvit he was going to be a father. Our unborn child never saw the light of day, a pain too great for words. Now, with a second chance, I was determined to avoid the mistakes of the past and create a better future for us. Tumvit was easily manipulated because he lacked education and knowledge. He was quick to trust and easy to use. So I transferred to his class and became his desk mate to keep an eye on him and help him. Based on his terrible grades, I stayed up late making a detailed study plan for him. I was determined to make him educated and harder to fool. I tapped his desk firmly and said, "From today, you study seriously." His face twisted as if he'd eaten something awful, but before he could protest, I patted my belly meaningfully. Reluctantly, he picked up his pen, his eyes full of helplessness. His knowledge was shockingly weak, almost zero. In a 150-point math test, he guessed the multiple choice answers and got only one right. The result was so bad it made me furious. I knew he was bad at school, but not this bad. Panicking, he patted my back to calm me, saying worriedly, "Don't get mad. It's not good for you, or the baby." I realized my approach wasn't working. His foundation was too weak for the current material. I found middle school books to help him catch up on the basics, but even those were too hard for him. Seeing my cold stare, he gave a nervous smile, barely daring to breathe. "Maybe we should stop. I'm not made for this. The baby will understand," he said, trying to escape. "And I think I'm doing okay, right?" he added, comforting himself. I held back my frustration. I had to be patient and take it step by step. During the physics class, his rich, lazy friends skipped class, avoiding the boring lesson. They stood at the back door, holding a basketball, calling out to him, "Viet, forget physics. Come play basketball." His eyes lit up with hope, but he didn't dare move, looking at me for permission. I answered for him, firm and clear, "He's not going." His friends exchanged surprised looks. It was probably the first time Tumviet refused them. He replied reluctantly, "You guys go. I'm staying." After days of forcing him to study, he finally broke. Exhausted, he said, I need a break to hang out." I knew habits don't change overnight, and being too strict wouldn't help. Plus, I wasn't feeling well that morning, so I let him go. But after he left, I felt worse. Sharp pains in my stomach made me collapse onto the desk. After thinking, I realized it was probably my period. In my past life, Tumviet had cared for me with herbal medicine, easing my pain. I'd almost forgotten how bad it could be. Before I passed out from the pain, I vaguely saw Tumviet rushing back, his face full of panic. When I woke up, he was sitting by my bed, his eyes red and tired, his hand tightly holding mine as if afraid I'd disappear. I moved slightly, and he woke instantly. His eyes were bloodshot, with dark circles showing he'd stayed up all night. "I'm sorry. I was wrong." "I shouldn't have left you," he said, his voice full of regret. "Knowing you're pregnant, I still left you alone. I'm such a failure. A good husband needs to be shaped step by step." While Tumviet was still simple and not too clever, I decided to mold him into a perfect husband, devoted and fully committed to our family. My fainting episode left a big mark on him. He was terrified when something happened to me. From then on, he stuck to me like glue, never leaving my side. If I spent a few extra seconds in the bathroom, he'd panic and even think about barging in to check on me. His worry was almost obsessive. But this had good and bad sides. The good side was that he started studying seriously, pulling away from his old troublemaking friends and focusing on school. His grades didn't improve much, but by the end of our final year, they were just enough to pass or fail university exams. Not steady, but much better than in our past life when he failed terribly and had to go abroad to polish his reputation. It was clear progress. As Thumbvit studied hard, his temper softened. He was less stubborn and angry. Some classmates even teased, "Love is so powerful. It turned the school's bad boy into a good student." He rushed to me, flustered, explaining, "I'm studying for the baby, not because of anything else. Don't get the wrong idea." I nodded casually, not caring much, my face calm. For some reason, this made him mad. He stormed off and tackled a pile of old university exam papers, as if taking his anger out on math problems and formulas. I glanced at him, my eyes saying, "Finally, you're learning," a small smile on my lips. He got even angrier, his face growing grumpier. The university exams ended quickly, and our class was about to part ways, each person heading toward their own path. At a class gathering, I sat quietly in a corner, avoiding attention. Using the baby excuse, I'd made Tumvit do all sorts of tasks over the past 2 years, from small chores to bigger responsibilities. He developed a habit. Sitting down, he poured me a glass of juice, gently massaged my feet, and even grabbed some pastries from another table. He looked like the perfect devoted husband, caring for his wife and child. I watched him, satisfied, a slight smile on my face. In my past life, after going abroad, I'd lost weight and had no belly at all. But in this life, eating well and not sucking in my stomach, I looked like I was actually pregnant. Thumbviet fully believed I was, happily taking care of me without any doubts. I accepted his care naturally, as if it was normal. While I went to get water, some boys surrounded Thumbviet. I couldn't hear them clearly, but I saw them winking and laughing mischievously. A close friend of his teased, "Viet, you're the only guy in room 501 with a girlfriend. I've got a special gift for you." Viet raised an eyebrow, curious. "What is it?" His friend and the others exchanged secretive smiles but didn't explain. "A few gigabytes of resources. Enjoy it at home." After the party, some suggested karaoke, but Viet and I didn't go. He said pregnant women shouldn't stay up late and took me home. Honestly, I wanted to go home to read novels all night, so I didn't argue. At home, out of boredom, Viet opened the file his friend sent. At first, it showed a teacher giving a lesson. After 2 years of studying hard, he instinctively sat up straight, watching closely as if it were a class. But seconds later, the video turned strange. It wasn't a normal lesson. Realizing what it was, his hands shook as he tried to turn it off, but he accidentally turned up the volume. Ambiguous sounds and heavy breathing filled the room, making him flush red. He jumped out of bed, drank 2 glasses of water to calm down, but the images stuck in his mind. Something felt off, but he couldn't figure out what. In the middle of the night, he had a strange dream. He shot up in bed, suddenly realizing the truth. "No way," he shouted, shocked. "Holding hands can't make someone pregnant." In our past life, I didn't know much about Tumviet while abroad, but I remembered he hurt someone badly during the university exams, stopping them from taking the test. Now I think it was Trin Nam. In this life, thanks to my white lie, Tumviet was too busy with homework and studying to cause trouble. He barely had time to drink water, let alone fight. Men with money often get into trouble, but I made him hand over all his pocket money to me, so he had no chance to clash with Trinam like before. Relieved, I stayed up reading novels until 3 p.m. the next day. When I woke, I saw a flood of messages from Viet. He'd built a habit of reporting everything to me. His latest message read, "Dumin invited me to go racing. You said I could have fun after exams, so I agreed." He sent a video of the scene showing just a few classmates, no one with bad intentions. His caution was good. He handled it well. Feeling reassured, I lazily closed my eyes and typed back, "Have fun." I pulled the blanket over me, planning to sleep more. Staying up late had left my head spinning. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, a new message popped up. My eyes widened. Lehi, Trinam is here. He's working part-time, but Lee Sun showed up. Things don't look good. This was from the spy I'd placed near Thumvit to watch his every move. I'd told him to alert me immediately if Thumvit and Trinam crossed paths. Sleepiness vanished. I grabbed my things and rushed to Thumvit, my heart racing. There's a strange force between the hero and the villain. Whenever they meet, trouble follows. With Lee Sun, a known troublemaker, there, something big was bound to happen. Lee Sun was the two-faced follower who stuck to Thumvit. For 2 years, I'd kept him away, blocking his chances to harm Thumvit. I thought he'd given up, but the moment I left Thumvit's side, he swooped back in like glue. As I got out of the car, I ran forward. Just as I feared, it had happened. Like an NPC quest triggered in a game, Trinam was pinned to the ground. Lee Sun stood over him, smirking smugly. Thumvit wore his familiar villainous grin, full of danger. The scene felt so familiar, like I'd seen it 100 times. I stood there, overwhelmed with helplessness. My voice turned icy as I called Thumvit. He stepped back instinctively, pushing Lee Sun in front of him like a shield, his eyes nervous. "I didn't touch him!" Trinam owes Lee Sun money and wouldn't pay, so he's getting a lesson. I'm just watching. Lee Sun quickly chimed in, his face fake. "Lehi, I know you're kind, but don't let Trinam fool you. He's a debtor who won't pay me back. I just want my money." Trinam's face burned with anger, his eyes red. "I don't owe you anything," he shouted, pinned down, his gaze full of rage and frustration. My heart pounded. I kicked Thumvit's leg. "Help him up now," I ordered, my voice firm. Thumvit reluctantly moved to help, but the two guys holding Trinam didn't budge, looking to Lee Sun for orders. Thumvit's face darkened. He kicked one of them, making him collapse, his voice commanding. "What? I've been patient enough." Lee Sun hurried forward, bowing and flattering. "Brother Viet, they're clueless. I'll deal with them." Thumvit ignored him, pulling Trinam up roughly, like lifting a chicken. Trinam was badly hurt, barely able to stand. I ordered, "Thumvit, take him to a doctor now." The club for rich kids had a professional medical team for emergencies. "No way. He's got nothing to do with me," Thumvit snapped stubbornly. Luckily, I knew how to handle his stubbornness. I took his hand, placed it on my belly, and looked at him softly, meaningfully. "Do it for our child's sake." He pulled his hand back like it burned, his ears red, his face embarrassed. "Fine. I get it," he mumbled, convinced. I thought, this is so weird. As Thumvit helped Trinam away, Lee Sun stepped forward, greedy. "Brother Viet, what about my money?" Thumvit waved it off carelessly. "How much does he owe? I'll pay." "That wasteful idiot. It's my money," I thought, frustrated. I smiled at Lee Sun, my eyes dangerous. "Take him to the doctor. I'll handle the money." After Thumvit left, Lee Sun shamelessly approached me, calculating. "Sister Hai, it's 1 million, including interest. Just transfer it to me." I gave a polite smile, but my eyes were cold. "If you don't want me to call the police for fraud, leave." His face darkened, angry. "What do you mean?" I had no patience left. "You know if Trinam owes you money. Don't lie to yourself." He clenched his teeth, stormed off with his two lackeys, not daring to say more. It wasn't about showing off, but my past life taught me to be cautious. I always brought a few strong bodyguards. Their presence alone made people think twice before causing trouble. Worried that Thumvit and Trinam might clash again, I hurried after them. Luckily, with Thumvit there, Lee Sun hadn't gone too far. Trinam only had minor cuts, treatable with ointment, not serious. In the small medical room, they stood at opposite ends, like a huge gap separated them. Neither spoke, avoiding each other. I rubbed my forehead. As long as they weren't enemies, they didn't need to be friends. I politely showed concern for Trinam. "Are you okay? Feeling all right?" Trinam, lips tight and eyes sincere, replied, "Thank you so much for helping me today. If you ever need help, I promise to do my best without hesitation." A favor from the hero. I'd earned it so easily. Looking at him, my eyes softened with sincerity. "This was caused by Tumvit's friend, so he'll cover all your medical costs. Just rest and recover. Don't worry." Tumvit, hot-headed as usual, jumped in. "No way! I'm not stupid. Whoever caused this should pay." I shot him a sharp glare, my voice warning. "Tumvit?" He turned away, stubborn. "I said I'm not paying." Trinam, calm and gentle, said, "It's fine. I'll pay myself. This isn't your problem." I smiled playfully at Trinam. "He's just saying the opposite. He means he'll pay." I quickly pulled Tumvit out of the room before he could argue more. "Now tell me, what did you promise? To be a good father, right? How can you act badly in front of our child?" This time, I used a softer approach. I hugged his arm, leaned my head on his shoulder, and looked at him with teary, pitiful eyes, trying to melt his heart. His ears turned red, his face flushed. Avoiding my gaze, he muttered, "Fine, I'll pay." Yes, befriending the hero isn't a bad thing at all. Having achieved my goal, I let go of his arm and walked ahead confidently. "Done playing? I'm going home. You coming?" "I'm coming too," he said. We got into my car together. Tumvit was always stuck to me like glue, never leaving my side. But now, he sat as far away as possible by the window, acting like there was an invisible wall between us. Something was wrong. This wasn't normal. I leaned in close, our noses almost touching, making him jump in surprise. "What's going on? Are you hiding something from me?" His eyes quickly glanced at my stomach, then looked away, avoiding my gaze. He looked nervous and awkward. "No, nothing at all." I grabbed his face, forcing him to look at me. My voice was firm. "Tell me the truth." He took a deep breath, like he was preparing for a hard confession. "Normal people are pregnant for 10 months, but you've been pregnant for 2 years. When will this baby come?" Finally, he noticed. I answered casually, as if it was obvious. "Maybe it's a special baby, like Natra, born different and extraordinary, just like me." Thumbvit didn't look convinced. His lips moved, wanting to say something more. I gave him a sharp look, my voice full of warning. "What? Do you have a problem with me or our baby?" He closed his mouth right away, not daring to say another word. On the outside, I tried to act calm and natural, but inside I was so embarrassed I wanted to disappear. How did he find out? With how much he trusted me, he shouldn't have noticed. Who told him the truth? I found the answer quickly. My phone was dead, so I borrowed Tumvit's phone to pass the time. I was reading an exciting story when a notification popped up with new messages. "Brother Viet, what do you think? This is my precious collection. I worked hard to find it. If you like it, I have more. You'll love them, I promise." There was a suspicious emoji that made me frown. My gut told me these messages were connected to Tumviet finding out my secret. Pretending to be him, I replied naturally, "Send more for me to see." "Okay, wait a sec." A video was sent. I clicked to play it, but it loaded slowly, making me impatient. At that moment, Tumvit suddenly remembered something. He rushed toward me, looking worried. I need my phone for a bit." "Oh," I said calmly, handing it back. Just as I let go, the video started playing. "Mrs. Maulet, you don't want your husband to know about this, right?" Huh? What kind of movie was this? "Don't do that." Then came sensitive sounds, not suitable for kids. I froze. Even if I was slow, I knew what kind of video this was. My face turned bright red. I threw the phone back to Tumvit like it was burning my hand. You're watching that stuff again?" Thumbvit froze, standing there, confused, unable to speak. He wanted to explain, but the words seemed stuck in his throat. My face burning, I jumped off the sofa and ran to the bedroom, my heart pounding. Even though in my past life, Thumbvit and I had been intimate, it was only after our feelings grew and we had some wine. We were each other's first love, with little experience. Our relationship warmed up but ended quickly, so it didn't happen often. So, even knowing about it, I wasn't used to facing it directly. I never thought Tamvit would watch those videos. Our families have always been close. Our parents wanted us to marry and join the families together. Over the past 2 years, as Tamvit and I grew closer, our parents were thrilled, hoping we'd become a couple. After our university entrance exams, both families bought us a fancy apartment to live together, like a step toward marriage. Now I was back in that apartment, full of memories. If I knew it would be this awkward and embarrassing, I might not have come back so soon. That night, Tamvit cooked dinner himself. He took a cooking class and went from burning simple dishes like tomato scrambled eggs to mastering 8 famous Chinese dishes. His skills had improved a lot. My face was still red, and the embarrassment lingered. I planned to refuse dinner to keep my distance and show I was upset, but the food smelled too good to resist. He made sweet and sour ribs, cola chicken wings, spicy boiled pork, lotus root soup, and braised pork knuckle, my favorite dishes. I couldn't hold back my hunger. I picked up my chopsticks and ate happily. After eating a lot, I lay on the sofa, my stomach full, feeling satisfied. Tamvit stood nearby, his eyes thoughtful and confused, like he was trying to understand something. So you're pregnant with sweet and sour ribs, cola wings, and spicy pork? My face turned red again. I knew I'd been caught. Honestly, I made up the pregnancy story to avoid trouble, so Tamvit wouldn't fight with the story's main male character. My main goal was to stop Tamvit from becoming enemies with the main character. That was my plan. The pregnancy story was ridiculous, but Tamvit believed it completely, without any doubt. He treated me like a fragile doll, caring for me so gently it surprised me. Whatever I said, he believed. It worked so well I didn't want to explain anymore. Now that he knew the truth, I felt relieved, like a weight was lifted. I lay on the sofa like a boss, feeling free and relaxed. So what? Got a problem with that? Tamvit pressed his lips together, looking curious and a bit hurt. Why did you do it? Why did I lie about being pregnant with his child? He wanted an explanation, because I didn't want him to fight the main character and face a tragic ending like in our past life. And because I remembered our unborn daughter, our little girl. Tamvit never even knew she existed. That was such a pity. If he knew, he'd probably care for me like he does now, full of love and attention. In our past life, there were too many regrets, too many mistakes we couldn't fix. Luckily, I got a chance to come back. There's still time to change our fate and rewrite our story. I turned my head, looking at him seriously, not hiding my feelings. Tamvit, our families want us to marry. What do you think about that? He paused, his eyes looking away, at the sky, at the ground, anywhere but me, like he was hiding his true feelings. I always follow what the family wants. I knew he'd say that, but I wanted his real answer from his heart. What about you? Do you want it? Do you really want to marry me? Tamvit, I want the truth. Seeing how serious I was, his eyes grew deep like the Tamvit from our past life, full of experience and strength. Yes, I want to marry you. I want you to be my wife. Tears filled my eyes, and they stung. I'd waited 2 lifetimes to hear those words from him, a promise that meant so much. Loving someone makes you shy and scared, afraid to face your true feelings. You worry that if you're brave and confess, you might not get what you hope for, or worse, you'll get hurt. That's how Tamvit and I were. We loved each other deeply, but fear made our path complicated, full of misunderstandings and missed chances. But now, with this second chance, I have to be braver. I can't miss another moment. Plus, I'm sure he likes me and I like him. Our feelings are real. No more beating around the bush. It's time to face these feelings directly. What about you? Tamvit asked. Do you want to marry me? I got the answer I wanted, so I teased him a little, acting playful. It depends on how you behave, I said. In the next 4 years, if you show me your love and care, I might consider marrying you. My efforts over the past 2 years weren't wasted. When the university entrance exam results came out, Tumvit scored just enough to get into a good university. It was an achievement to be proud of. Even though we couldn't attend the same school, his results were worth praising. After starting university, Tumvit began working in his family's company, slowly learning about business. Since we weren't at the same school, it should have been hard to meet and keep our relationship strong. But after we openly shared our feelings, it was like something clicked in him. He wasn't shy or hesitant anymore. He was like a wild horse, free and confident, charging forward on his own path. He gave me his credit card to use freely. Gifts kept coming, and sweet words filled every day without fail. Whenever he had free time, he'd rush to my school, stay by my side, and never leave me. Even though we studied in different places, my life felt full of his presence and love. In a blink, we reached our final year of university. Time flew so fast. Tumvit got busier, especially lately, with almost no time to rest. But that made sense. His family's company, Thumb Corporation, was launching a groundbreaking new product, so being busy was normal. I was also preparing for an important internship. Unlike Tumvit's family, mine didn't push me to work in the company from my first year. Instead, I started in my third year, working from the basics to understand the business. So I got caught up in work too, and time passed quickly. When you're busy, time slips away like a breeze. While checking my chat app with Tumvit, I realized he hadn't contacted me for 2 days. No messages, no calls. Something felt wrong. I felt uneasy. Just then, my parents walked into the room looking excited. Tumvit arranged a professional team to take us on a world tour, they said. He thinks you're stressed and need a break to relax. This felt stranger and stranger. Something wasn't right. I texted Tumvit to clear things up. You arranged for people to take my parents and me abroad? He replied quickly, like he was waiting for my message. Yeah, you seem stressed and tired. I thought you should go out and relax. My face went cold. I replied shortly, without emotion, okay. Right after sending the text, I called my team. Find out what's happening with Thumb Corporation. I want details. After years with Tumvit, I could tell what he was thinking just by a small move. He couldn't hide from me. The excuse about reducing stress was just a cover. With his personality, if he wanted me to relax, he'd be by my side himself, not send others to take me away. Clearly, something big was happening, and he wanted to keep me out of it to protect me. Soon, the investigation results came back, and they shocked me. A partner who was negotiating smoothly with Thumb Corporation suddenly pulled their investment just before the new product launch, causing a serious cash flow problem. Worse, the core technology was suspected to have been leaked to a rival company by someone inside. A devastating blow. Such a huge issue, and he wanted to handle it alone, not wanting me to worry or get involved. I remember this happened in our past life too. It was a major crisis in Tumvit's life. Back then, I was abroad and only heard from my parents that he faced a huge challenge and barely made it through. It was probably the darkest time in his life. But I didn't know who the real traitor was because my parents only mentioned it vaguely. This time, though, I came back prepared. I had planned and arranged everything in advance. Now was the time for my plans to work and help him. Still on the call, I smiled slightly, my voice confident. Mr. Treen, I think Thumb Corporation's new product still has great investment value. I want to invest in this project. What do you think? Knowing how successful the main character will become in the future, how could I miss this golden opportunity? Even though he'll build a huge business empire, the path won't be easy. There will be many challenges and obstacles. This time, I want to be his biggest and most important investor during his toughest moment, earning his gratitude and a share in his company. With the main character's aura, no problem is unsolvable, no challenge too big. I won't let Tumvit face that dark time alone again. Got it, miss, the voice on the phone said. But then it hesitated, sounding heavy with regret. The person you asked me to watch was taken away before my team could get there. I don't know who did it, I'm sorry. I smiled, a knowing smile. I think I knew who acted. I knew this place, though I'd never been here before. It was where Thum Viet dealt with traitors and enemies. At the entrance, the guard recognized me and looked panicked. Sister-in-law, why are you here? I'll tell Brother Viet right away. I stopped him, shaking my head. No need. I'll see him soon anyway. Not far in, I heard a painful, desperate scream echoing through the space. In a dark room, Thum Viet sat calmly on a high chair, his face cold and emotionless like an ice statue. Lee Sun knelt at his feet, pinned to the ground, his face bloody and pitiful. He trembled, crying and begging. Brother Viet, I was wrong. Greed made me do it. I swear I won't do it again. Please give me a chance to fix my mistake. Thum Viet smirked, a cruel and chilling smile. Fine. Lee Sun's eyes lit up and he bowed, thanking him, thinking he was safe. But Thum Viet's smile grew darker, a sign of something bad. Which hand stole from me? Show it and we'll trade. Another scream rang out, more painful and heartbreaking. Blood splattered and the scene was horrifying. I turned away, not wanting to see such cruelty. My heart ached. I always knew Thum Viet had two sides, a gentle, warm, loving side with me, and a cold, ruthless side with others, especially enemies. How could a villain be truly kind and good? Madam, why don't you go inside? The person with me asked, worried, urging Thum Viet to notice me. Thum Viet froze, turning quickly. When he saw me, he panicked but shut the door, keeping me outside. Through the gap, his voice sounded cautious and nervous. You saw wrong. That wasn't me. Don't misunderstand. I laughed, both annoyed and amused by his innocence. You have 3 seconds. Come out now. Thum Viet stepped out slowly, his face full of worry. Darling, why are you here at a time like this? It was hard to connect the gentle, shy, sweet Thum Viet now with the cold, cruel, scary one in that room. If I didn't come, were you going to handle everything alone? Something this big and you hid it from me, not saying a word. In our past life, it was the same. The main character crushed Thum Viet until he could barely breathe, but he pretended everything was fine. He gave me his card and told me to shop and spend freely. He'd rather carry all the difficulties alone than let me worry or help him. He always wanted to protect me. My eyes filled with tears. I turned away, not wanting to look at him, feeling both sorry for him and angry. Thum Viet panicked, quickly admitting his mistake, his voice full of regret. Darling, I'm sorry. I thought I could handle everything myself. I didn't want you to worry. Such a stubborn mind. I took a deep breath to calm my overwhelming emotions. If that's how it is, I'm leaving. As I stepped away, he grabbed my hand tightly, resting his head gently on my shoulder. His voice was soft and full of remorse. Don't go. We're lovers. We should face everything together. I was wrong. I was too stubborn. I shouldn't just think about protecting you under my wings and forget that you can fly too. You can face challenges with me. Please forgive me, okay? I sighed, knowing I couldn't force him to change right away. It takes time. His realization of his mistake was already a big step, a good sign. I nodded slightly, then brought up another topic to confirm something. The person who stole the company's core technology was Lee Sun, right? He nodded, not surprised. I've had people watching him for a long time. What he stole was just a fake copy, not the real thing. Good. Hand him over to the police. Let the law deal with him. Okay. Back home, Thum Viet still looked unhappy, his face heavy with worry, probably about the company's funding crisis. I had planned a big surprise for him, but seeing him so sad, I couldn't wait. I wanted to comfort him. I quietly went to a corner and called Trin Nam. Mr. Trin, is the deal with Thumb Corporation done? Is everything going well? Trin Nam's voice sounded annoyed, like he was holding back frustration. Leahy, you didn't need to call me about this. I was confused. What do you mean? Suddenly, my phone was snatched away. Thum Viet stood there, looking down with a proud expression, talking to Trin Nam. Because I'm a shareholder in your company too, I own a big share. It turned out that when I invested in Trinam's company, Tumviet got jealous and invested even more than me, wanting to prove himself. This big villain was so stubborn and childish. Now we both owned half of the main character's company. What a strange situation. The one who should cry the most was probably Trinam, being overpowered by us like this. I looked at Tumviet, laughing, half amused and half scolding. And you wanted to send me abroad over this small issue? Really? He lowered his face, looking guilty and a bit pitiful. I really wanted you to relax. I planned that trip for a long time, every detail, every day. The first night you arrived, I'd join you. I wouldn't leave you alone. I froze. I had misunderstood him. I felt guilty. Later, I learned he had planned to propose to me on that trip. Everything was ready, guests, romantic decorations, all for a big surprise. I ruined his plan. What a pity. When I found out, I ran to his office, casually sitting on his lap, my face playful. So, are you still going to propose? Or just forget it? Thumbvit froze, his face full of embarrassment. On his computer screen, his plan for a second proposal was still there. I ruined it again. I laughed inside. It wasn't on purpose. With my memories of our past life, I feel like we're already an old married couple. Romantic gestures sometimes feel unnecessary. Asking him to kneel and propose in a crowd feels embarrassing and not needed. He could just put the engagement ring on my finger. I'd say yes anyway. Even though Tumvit and Trinam didn't become sworn enemies like in our past life, there was a strange tension between them. Whenever they met, they'd clash fiercely, neither giving in. Their assistant secretly told me that, on dark nights, both CEOs got beaten up with sacks over their heads. They suspected each other, but had no proof. No proof was needed. I knew it was true. Worried they'd become real enemies, I tried to mediate. But seeing their bruised faces, still stubborn and refusing to admit fault, they said, "This is a man's fight. You wouldn't understand." Oh, so silly. I could only shake my head. I started to suspect Tumviet had memories of our past life, like me. At first, in that matter, he was like a curious beginner, needing my guidance. But suddenly, he changed dramatically. No longer a shy boy asking questions, he became bold, confident, and experienced, surprising me. He even said flirty, romantic words that made my heart race. He became more charming, his eyes deep and mature, like someone who'd been through life's storms. It wasn't the look of a young man. It was too grown up. His care for me reached new heights. He worried about me falling or getting hurt, looking after me carefully. I didn't ask him about those memories, and he didn't mention them. We had a silent understanding. We just kept living this life like an unspoken agreement. Because no matter which Tumviet, with or without memories, I could feel his deep, true love for me. That was enough. His love was the most important thing to me. Thumviet's perspective, epilogue, died. I lost her. I couldn't protect her or our little child. I hated myself for being so powerless, for not saving them. I think I made a huge mistake. I shouldn't have married Leahy out of love or tied her to my fate. If she hadn't married me, her life would have been so much brighter, free from these tragedies. I regretted it deeply, a regret too big for words. Before my consciousness faded, a mysterious, powerful voice spoke in my ear. Will you work for the underworld for 100 years to give Leahy a happy, peaceful life? Without hesitation, I answered, yes, I agree. I don't know how many years I worked for the underworld. Time felt meaningless, but when I opened my eyes again, Leahy stood in front of me, smiling brightly. I'm pregnant. It's your child. Leahy, my Leahy, was here, alive. I stared at her, lost in her familiar, lovely face. I wanted to touch her, to hold her, but I couldn't control this body. I was just a soul inside it, watching her from afar, helpless. But that was okay. Seeing her was enough. I didn't need more. As time passed, I grew unsatisfied, a restless feeling growing inside. I realized Leahy had memories of our past life, like me. She looked at me in this world with loving, gentle eyes. She stayed in this country for me, teased me sweetly, and used the excuse of a child to push me to study and work hard. I hid in a dark corner, watching silently, thinking, if only she treated me like that, if she loved me like that, how happy I'd be. When will you get out of my body? It was me in this world. He noticed me, a soul inside his body. I am you, and you are me. This is my body, too. You have no right to kick me out. We both understand each other better than anyone. We're parts of the same soul. In front of Lehi, he pretends to be good and sweet, but really he's stubborn and selfish, wanting to keep her all to himself. Even though I'm him from our past life, he can't stand me watching Lehi. He doesn't accept that I have feelings for her too. I gave a cold laugh, full of sarcasm. Lehi loves me, my memories. Without me, she wouldn't even glance at you. So what? He replied. Right now, I'm the one with her. I'm the one she loves and stays with. We started a quiet battle, a war without noise. He can see my memories and I can see his. Everything is clear. Thanks to my memories, he avoided many risks and dangers, keeping Lehi safe from harm. Honestly, he's not bad. At least he truly loves Lehi. When Lehi lied about being pregnant, he acted innocent, believing her completely. But secretly, he cared for her deeply, looking after her every little need. He really won her heart, making her fall deeply in love with him. At some point, I suddenly merged with me from this world, like two rivers flowing into one sea. It didn't change this body much, just made my personality a bit more complex sometimes. Even as myself, I was crazy jealous, jealous of my own self. But luckily, now I can truly be with her, living a happy life together. The end. Slow steps to long-lasting love. While working the midnight shift, a young woman with an ectopic pregnancy was rushed into the emergency room. I calmly asked, "We need to operate now. Where's her family?" She was in too much pain to speak, but she managed to make a call and handed me the phone. Before I could speak, a familiar voice came from the other end, my husband's voice. "Baby, what's wrong?" Holding a guilty heart,